Um, Hello everyone, I'm Brian Butcher, and this is my third and hopefully final rendition of my VR experience for Joliet Junior College. Um, I was asked to take a week to do some improvements, mainly on ball throwing and to make sure that the ball is propelling forward and behaving naturally, as well as taking any other improvements and making other improvements that I want to do to make the game more um, appealing or better. So first, let me introduce you on how ball throwing is done now. So, so now let me just recap. So basically, in the beginning, you could not throw the ball anywhere or any direction without it going off in any direction that it randomly wants to go. The short-term solution was to create an impulse behind the ball at the point of letting go of the ball, and would create the illusion that you are indeed throwing the ball. This seemed to solve the solution, but it still didn't address the randomness of the ball going in random directions or any sort of constants in or predictability in the throw. But now, as you can see, I can throw the ball and get it to where um, I want it to be, and it actually behaves pretty smooth and without any real problems. Um, and this is due to the fact that I'm actually telling the ball what velocity to go to based on my hands. Now, the way this works is that my hands are actually physics objects. So if you can see them moving around, they are actually joined to the motion controller using physics constraints, and this actually allows it to attach to my hand and still be a physics object. So I can actually hit this and actually stop my hand, um, and I can even hit the ball, and it'll actually be affected. So being that this is actually a physics object means that it actually has a velocity. So all I had to do was basically capture the velocity of the hand and then pass it to the ball, which in turn creates a natural throwing effect. Um, and this actually solves the problem of throwing and also ensures that it takes a great deal of skill to get a basket. I'm going to show some video afterwards of me throwing some baskets and actually scoring some points. Um, and so that will be at the end of the video. Um, this took me about maybe 3 or 4 hours to figure out, mainly because I was playing around with different ideas and different solutions. One main solution was to use a physics handle, which in Unreal allows you to pick up a physics object, and the object will stay a physics object and simulate physics and still be able to move around and be moved around by the player. This resulted in similar results, but in the long run, it just was subpar. You could throw it as hard as you can, and it would not go any farther than maybe a few feet. And the ball would actually randomly decide to go off to the side, or would just go to the bottom, or would just fall to the ground. And I felt that that was not the way it should work. So instead, I've implemented the set velocity function or set linear velocity function to the ball, so that when I throw the ball, it will receive the velocity from my hand and will propel it forward. producing a nice effect. That was one of the major improvements. Another improvement is the ball keeper. Basically, I made it to where it will actually spawn balls once you close it, and it's emptied of all of its balls. So that way you can actually stay here and do free throws and not have to chase after the ball. This took me maybe 5 minutes to figure out, maybe 10 to be more generous. And that was just to figure out how to get rid of the balls that are on the court and spawn them back into the ball rack. Another improvement was on scoring. Before, the scoring worked, but it wasn't. But it was far from perfect. Basically, I redesigned it to have 3 volumes of checks. Basically, a volume to check and make sure that the ball came in from the top. Another check volume to ensure that it went into the hoop and not actually, touch the hoop or bounce out. And another volume to basically execute and check to make sure that these 2 volumes were checked, and if so, score a point or not. So basically, to visualize, the ball comes in, enters the volume, checks a variable to be true, enters this volume into the hoop, makes it true, it travels down, and then a score is awarded. Now, if I were to go up from the bottom, nothing will happen. And that is to ensure a one-way pathway into the basket rather than a simple did it go into the hoop, and if so, score a point. So that was changed. Another minor improvement that I've done kind of for myself was to get reflections off of surfaces. So as you can see, if you can, you'll see that there are some reflections off the surface. Basically, you can kind of see the basketball court off of this surface of the ball keeper. So you can see some purples, some whites, some tans into the surface of the ball keeper. You can also see this in the bleachers. So you can see that it's reflecting some metal, like maybe some aluminum, and you can see that there are some purple hues, some whites, and some tans reflecting appropriately the way metal would reflect. This probably took me maybe 15-30 minutes to figure out. It altogether, it probably took me a lot longer, just because everyone said in order to get reflections, you have to use sphere captures to capture the environment, which would in turn funnel that into your material and will create the reflections that you desire. And I could not figure out how this would work, how I wasn't getting them. And the solution was very simple. Basically, it was to bump up the indirect lighting of the environment to have a higher contrast and bring out those details. So in all reality, it was doing what it was supposed to, but all I was seeing was a black void, and all it really needed was just a contrast. So to kind of clarify, the ball throwing is significantly improved. So I can throw the ball. It behaves like a ball. And I'm doing that by basically passing my velocity of my hand and passing it into the ball and making it go forward. I have a three-tier check system on the basketball hoop, which will check for a one-way entry, and I've got reflections on metal. And this was pretty much all the improvements that I have done, except for maybe adding more score point or scoreboards and all that. So I hope these improvements are to your liking, and I am looking forward to hearing from you in the future.